She insulted the single father in seat 12F. Moments later, the pilot exposed the truth. I didn't choose seat 12F. Life put me there. A cramped window seat, stale cabin air, a crying toddler clinging to my shirt, and a woman in 12E who was already annoyed I existed. She made it known before I even sat down. Ugh, I paid for a quiet row, she muttered, sliding her designer purse away from my child as if we were diseased. I didn't react. I'd learned to keep my face empty, to absorb blows silently. It's what grief does. It bleaches everything. The plane hummed as passengers filtered in, some glancing at me with sympathy, others with irritation. My daughter, Lily, curled against my chest, her small fingers locked in my collar like I was her last safe place. Maybe I was. The woman beside me kept tapping her nails against the armrest, sharp, irritated little cracks. "You know, some people hire nannies," she said without looking at me. The statement wasn't about help, it was about judgment. "It's fine," I murmured. She scoffed. "Sure, until she screams for 8 hours straight." The plane door closed. The ringtone from her phone chirped loudly. She angled her screen away from me, but I caught the glimpse. An exchange of messages, fast and flirtatious. Craig. My stomach tightened. Not for her, for the familiarity of the name, for the memory of another phone screen, another betrayal, another life I once thought was stable. But I kept quiet. The engines began to roar, and the woman in 12E rolled her eyes and said loud enough for the row to hear, "Single dads are always disasters." She had no idea who she was talking to. She had no idea what was coming. None of them did. The first hit wasn't her words. It was the flashback they triggered. Months earlier, a living room drenched in lamplight, my wife's hands shaking as she whispered a confession she thought would break me slowly. It was an accident. It just happened. I didn't mean for it to. The lies tasted the same, no matter how they were served. Soft, trembling, stretched across silence. Her lover had a name too. Craig. I had heard that name and felt something inside me die before she even finished speaking. She panicked. She cried. She begged. Not for forgiveness, for protection, for secrecy. Because the man she'd thrown our marriage away for had a family, a wife, a reputation. I said nothing then either. I simply watched her unravel. And when she left, when she walked away claiming she needed space, when she abandoned both me and our daughter with the casual cruelty of someone shedding responsibility, the silence remained. It became a second skin. Now, months later, a random stranger in 12E muttered the same judgmental venom my ex-wife had once hurled at me. "Pathetic," she whispered as Lily shifted in my lap. I breathed through it, calm, controlled, unmoved. But when she turned and hissed, "If you can't handle a kid, don't ruin a flight for everyone else," my restraint tightened like a rope. Not anger, recognition. The universe had a strange sense of irony. Here I was beside a woman who worshipped her own reflection and mocked strangers to mask her rotting insecurities, just like my ex-wife. And here she was texting a man named Craig during a flight, a man who sent her messages like, "Can't wait till we're alone." He still doesn't know? Her thumb flew across the screen. Not yet. Her fiancé. I saw the ring. My stomach didn't drop this time. It settled into something colder. Patterns, people, lies. Nothing surprised me anymore. Not betrayal, not selfishness, not hypocrisy wrapped in designer clothing. But the universe had impeccable timing, because the pilot's voice crackled over the speakers, and everything shifted. "Ladies and gentlemen, we're expecting a smooth flight today." The captain droned on, but my attention stayed glued to the woman beside me. She angled her phone again, but I'd already memorized the cadence of her deceit. She wasn't subtle. People like her never are. They think the world is too stupid to notice. Lily whimpered, and I stroked her hair, humming softly. The movement irritated the woman even more. She groaned dramatically. "Seriously, can't you keep her still?" "She's 2, I replied quietly. "She's doing her best." "Then maybe don't travel with her alone." It was the familiarity of the cruelty that stung, not the words themselves. These were the same lines my ex-wife used to use. "You're too soft. She's too clingy. You're suffocating her. This is why I need someone who understands me." My jaw tightened. The woman typed again. "Craig, does your fiancé suspect anything?" Her. "He's clueless. Men like him believe whatever they're told." I nearly smiled, because I had been that man once, but not anymore. I watched quietly as her facade cracked around the edges. The nervous glances, the constant phone checks, the compulsive need to belittle someone weaker to feel powerful. I recognized all the signs. She was unraveling. The flight attendants moved down the aisle, offering drinks. Mine asked kindly if I needed anything for my daughter. The woman beside me cut in. "Maybe he needs parenting lessons." The attendant frowned, but I shook my head lightly. "It's fine," I said. Calm, always calm, because panic reveals weakness, but silence reveals truth. And truth was coming. The plane jolted through light turbulence, nothing serious, yet she grabbed the armrest dramatically. "Oh my God, this is ridiculous! First the kid, now this!" She waved a hand toward me like I was some inconvenience fate had placed beside her as punishment. Funny thing is, she wasn't wrong. Punishment was coming, just not for me. Because 20 minutes later, the pilot's voice returned, this time softer, more emotional. "Ladies and gentlemen, I want to take a moment before we reach cruising altitude." The cabin quieted. My heart didn't speed up, but hers did. I felt her breath hitch beside me. Something inside her knew, instinctively, that whatever was coming was meant for her. The pilot cleared his throat. "There is a passenger with us today who deserves recognition. Seat 12F. A ripple went through the cabin. The woman straightened, confused. "You?" I nodded, though I wasn't prepared for the way the captain's voice softened with respect. "This passenger served 9 years as an emergency rescue officer. He lost his wife in the line of duty, protecting strangers during a building collapse." The woman whipped toward me, shock in her expression. I didn't look at her, not yet. "After the tragedy," the pilot continued, "he dedicated himself to raising his daughter alone. He saved lives, and then rebuilt one." The flight attendant near the front stood straighter, tears in her eyes. Passengers began to turn, whispering, watching me differently. But I stayed still, stone still, because the story wasn't finished. "And today," the captain said, "his former team informed me he was on board. We wanted to honor him officially." Silence filled the cabin, heavy, warm, the opposite of the freezing dread building beside me. Then the pilot added, voice tightening, "And for anyone on this aircraft who may have treated him without understanding, consider this your reminder to judge a little less. You never know the battles a person is carrying." The sentence hit harder than turbulence. Passengers around us stared at the woman now, her face drained, her arrogance evaporated. Her phone slipped slightly from her hand. I finally turned to her. Her lips trembled. I didn't know." I nodded slowly. "That's the problem," I said. "People like you never do." Her facade cracked completely then, guilt seeping through the foundation. But the reveal wasn't over, because I slid her phone back toward her, locked screen, messages still visible. "I also saw your texts," I said softly. Her face crumpled. And the truth, sharp, heavy, devastating, settled between us. She grabbed the phone like it was a lifeline. "You don't understand, it's complicated." "It always is," I said. Her eyes pleaded for secrecy, for mercy, for my silence. Just like my ex-wife's once had. But mercy is a luxury reserved for the honest. Her voice cracked. "Please, my fiancé will be at the airport. You can't—" "I'm not telling him anything." Relief flooded her face so fast it was almost pathetic. "But," I continued calmly, "you will." She blinked rapidly. "What?" I leaned forward, keeping my voice low and controlled. "Because when he meets you at the gate, you're going to hand him the phone yourself. And you're going to tell him everything." She shook her head violently. "No, no, I can't. It will destroy him." "Then you shouldn't have done it." Her breathing turned shallow. Passengers glanced subtly toward us, aware something tense was unfolding, but unable to hear the details. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't threaten. I didn't need to. "I'm not ruining your life," I said coldly. "Your choices already did that. I'm just making sure the right person finally sees who you are." Her mascara smudged as tears formed. "You think you're helping? This is revenge." "Not revenge," I whispered. "Correction." She covered her mouth, shoulders shaking. "And if I say no?" she choked out. I looked at her steadily. "Then I'll tell him myself." She froze. Completely. Because she knew, from the calm in my eyes, from the stillness in my voice, that I wasn't bluffing. The turbulence outside had stopped, but inside her chest, a storm had begun. The plane landed with a soft thud. Passengers stood, gathering their bags, eager to leave. The woman in 12E stayed seated, trembling, clutching her phone like a confession she hadn't yet spoken aloud. Her fiancé waited at the gate, smiling, waving, excited to see her. Her face broke. I didn't watch what happened next. I didn't need to. As I carried Lily toward the exit, I heard a choked whisper behind me. "Baby, we need to talk." Then, silence. The heavy kind. The kind that follows truth. Outside the terminal, sunlight spilled across the pavement, warm against my skin. I breathed in slowly. Not pride, not triumph, just release. Years of betrayal, abandonment, and quiet suffering dissolved like frost under heat. And as I strapped Lily into her stroller, I felt lighter than I had in years. Not because I hurt someone, but because I refused to let cruelty go unchecked one more time. The world doesn't need louder heroes. It needs quieter witnesses who choose to speak at the right moment. My daughter laughed then, a small, bright sound. I looked down at her. "We're okay," I whispered. And for the first time in a long time, we truly were.
How could you do this?